Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Ambassador. It's a pleasure to oh. Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thanks for catching that for me. It's a little spotty at 4 a.m. Ambassador, thank you so much for making time for us today. I'm very, very excited to be on this particular meeting. Of course, every KPAC meeting is very informative, but this one is particularly meaningful because of the two hats that you wear, Madam Ambassador, of course, representing our region, Guam, of course, being the westernmost U.S. territory right here in the middle of the Pacific, but also in your capacity as our trade representative. I want to share with you a constituent experience of mine that just was so eye-opening and is something that you can directly address and help us with. So on Guam, we have certain products that are sold out of the territory, and we had a business interest out of Korea that wanted to be able to procure some of these products. The product manufacturer was actually out of the United States, and so the order came into Guam and was placed to the U.S. Supplier for drop shipping to Korea. What happened was, as the transaction was entering its final stages, they ended up pulling out of the transaction because Guam was not included in the U.S. trade agreement with Korea. And in our further inquiries, we found that Guam is not included in any of the trade agreements that are currently existing. And we very much would like to have this next round under the Indo-Pacific Framework that's currently underway to remedy that. We spoke with the professionals in the U.S. Trade Office that work with you, and they informed us after we went back and forth and many hardworking hours were committed by both parties. They came back and they said, your best bet would be to try and get this remedied when the U.S. goes back to the table of each of these respective countries. And the reason being is that, Guam being a small territory, we're not going to be able to bring these countries to the table for us to be establishing our own trade agreements. We even had conversations with the Trade Office asking if that was something we could do, and there was uncertainty even as to whether or not we could do that. And I think a lot of this stems from the fact that Guam is outside of the U.S. customs zone. And so because we are outside the U.S. customs zone, tariffs levied by the United States on various products do not apply to imports coming into here. But unfortunately, that has also resulted perhaps in us just not being included in trade agreements altogether. And so what we would like is, of course, to, as a territory, maintain our status outside of the U.S. customs zone, but still have our interests negotiated and secured with the respective countries in the Indo-Pacific Framework, negotiated on our behalf by the United States. And so I wanted to ask if this is something that we can make sure we prioritize. We did pen a letter to the President just the other day. We will forward a copy to yourself in your office, but I wanted to officially in person, eye to eye, ask if we can work on making this happen.
Well, Congressman San Nicolas, thank you so much for raising this particular issue. It's obvious why this is important to you. It's interesting, as you were teeing up the facts, I was thinking, well, how do we define the United States, right? The U.S. Trade Representative and who we're representing in our negotiations and in our conversations. Thank you for relaying to me also the back and forth you've had with my team. I think that I'll need to bring this back in particular to my legal team and talk through a little bit what the constraints have been, and then think through what our options are going forward with the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, which I think naturally would be of enormous interest geographically for you. So on this one, let me follow up and do a little digging, and we will circle back with your office and see what the options look like. And I'm always one to be pragmatic about once we take the legal theory, what are our options? And let me circle back with you on that. Thank you very much for raising this.
Thank you very much. And Madam Chair, again, thank you for always including our territories in the work of KPAC and for always bringing very important figures such as Madam Ambassador to the table for us to be able to voice our concerns. I yield back, Madam Chair.